Warning: if you are a fan of classic literature and/or are utterly devoid of a sense of humor, this review may not be for you. Unfortunately, the only horror in the story centered around me having to keep turning the pages. Truly frightening. Welcome back, book burners. We're looking at top reviews of popular books you were burned by or burned through. My name is Ben. Let's dive in. In honor of spooky season, today's book is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. With an average rating of 3.89 stars on Goodreads and nearly 1.8 million reviews, let's jump in with the 1 star. Anne says, warning, if you are a fan of classic literature and/or are utterly devoid of a sense of humor, this review may not be for you. Also, yes, I realize that I'm a moron with zero literary credibility, so stop reading right now if the sound of an idiot whistling out of their booty hole bothers you. The reality is, this book is a big steaming pile of poop. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to actually be scary, but I thought it might be slightly creepy. Unfortunately, the only horror in the story centered around me having to keep turning the pages. Beware, mortal, you will die of boredom. 2 stars. Trevor says, I don't really know what I was expecting, though more comes to mind. Let's start with what I liked about this book. I like the idea that the monster is made, a monster by the treatment he receives from humanity. He is ugly, and humanity does like to punish the ugly. This is the universal truth about us, that in itself is also fair. Unfortunately, that is about all I liked. If horror is what you want, Stephen King is much more frightening. Never tells you how scared you're supposed to feel at any given moment in the story, and is basically a better writer. 3 stars. Warwick says, I'm surprised by how few reviews I've read touch on what seems to be, to me, the most intensely female experience that this book obliquely comments on. The confusion of bringing a creature into the world only to feel horror and revulsion towards it. The stress of releasing it into a hostile and uncaring world, and perhaps most of all, the deep sympathy shown by someone who feels that their body is not their own, that it is somehow owned and regulated by others, a body that one is taught by society to hate. The monster's feelings are unimportant because he was created by man for man's own gratification. 4 stars. Emma says, don't get why everyone spends so much time talking about, quote, the theme of science versus nature, and how this is, quote, the world's first science fiction novel, when clearly this is the world's preeminent text on the subject of dire consequences of procrastination. But whatever, this book rules. 5 stars. Sean says, I read Frankenstein for the 6th time this week. Although it is one of my favorite novels and in my opinion one of the finest pieces of fiction ever written, I find myself with a new appreciation of the text every time I come to it. What's truly striking about the work is how much it reflects on the anxieties of the age. It's full of insecurities about nature, God, science, and our place in the world. Ultimately, it is a novel that creates a sense of unease because it highlights so much about the inauthentic nature of the lives of many of us. Running through the novel is a craving for freedom, a craving to simply exist in a natural way. So there you have it. Those are some of the top reviews on the book Frankenstein. Let me know what you think about it in the comments and tell me which one I should cover next.